Because who was there to envy us, to be proud of us? Our Googlings darkened, turned inward. We Googled Maslow's pyramid to see how many of the need levels we could already fulfill, the first two. We Googled 2011 fever survivors, hoping to find others like us. And when all we found were the same outdated, inconclusive news articles, we Googled 7 stages grief to track our emotional progress. We were at anger, the slower among us lagging behind at denial. We Googled, is there a God? Clicked, I'm feeling lucky, and were directed to a suicide hotline site. In the 12 rings it took for us to hang up, we held our breaths for someone else, some stranger's voice confirming that we weren't the only ones living, despite Bob's adamant assertions. There was no answer. From this and other observations, it was deduced that we were alone, truly alone.
Sometimes I found myself divided between the ideas and the critique of capitalism and of globalization that is, I thought, implicit in the plot of the novel, and these aching moments of kind of deep interiority in these characters. How do you think the ideas and emotions interact in the novel? And was that something that you were planning from the outset, or did it just come together in the writing process?
I think part of the goal of the novel was to show capitalism on sort of the ground level. And so in order to do that, you have to have the protagonist fully inhabit the her job, what she's doing. Candace oversees book manufacture, and they're all done at suppliers in China. That was a job that I held briefly for about, it was my first job right out of college for about, I want to say more than 2 years, a little more than 2 years, was coordinating book manufacture. So a lot of the 4-color printing and coffee table books, anything that's high labor intensive, it's done in Asia and often in China. And I just have the memory of traveling through those places, of going to those suppliers. So I guess part of it is a little bit personal as well. I feel like when I'm talking about this book, I'm always trying to delineate between the personal and the autobiographical. There aren't any scenes that are ripped from my life, but emotionally it does feel personal in some way because I have had some experiences with it. And it is complicated as a 1.5, generation Chinese immigrant to be going back in the position of like the buyer, of the consumer. It was definitely fraught. But it was only fraught in retrospect. It wasn't fraught at the time when I was doing it. It was fraught after I had left the job and thought about it.